Out there that love what's going on. Why am I listening to myself? Because I'm echoing back at myself. A couple of weeks ago, there was some issues that came out of Syria. I mean, every day something comes out of Syria. But in the last couple of weeks, it has gotten, shall we say, things have just escalated. And
devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's North Woods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station.
At OhBoy Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At OhBoy Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001. That's Dave's TV, 362-3001. Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters, because because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back, Wood Ticks and Patriots. I don't know if I had a technical glitch or not, but it's very possible that I did not have a microphone on. I don't know why. Having trouble with my streamer software lately, and it's not your problem, it's my problem. So, and I'll sort it out. But I think it looks like it's working now. So, if y'all missed the headlines, hey, just stay with the show. You'll hear what's going on, won't you? Anyway, one of the stories we started off with right there showed you the picture. It's coming in. You can't make this stuff up. FEMA apparently signs a deal with Russian Emergency Situations Minister to exchange experts. Paul Joseph Watson from InfoWars, coming in off of InfoWars, Alex Jones wire. Good, bad, or indifferent. Alex seems to dig up the stuff. As part of a deal signed last week in Washington, D.C. between Russian Emergency Situations Minister and FEMA, Russian officials will provide security at mass events, quote unquote. You understand what that means? Tie that in with a story that, who read it? Jerry Bader, I think it was, on his show last week, talked about the new edict from the NFL regarding carry-ins and what you can and cannot bring to an NFL. This is an edict that came down from the NFL last week. And he put the slant on it, and I have to agree with him that at some point, is this inside information that the NFL knows about? Are they being tipped off by FEMA or Homeland Security? And God, I hate to use that word, Homeland Security. That musters up images from the 40s, from an era in Europe that we do not want to go back to, but we're sure headed that way. They will be providing security at mass events in the United States, on our soil, my soil, your soil. Are you up on this? Are you hearing what's going on here, folks? According to a press release by the Ministry of Russian Federation of Civil Defense and Emergencies, U.S. and Russian officials met on June 25th at the 17th Joint U.S.-Russia Cooperation Committee on Emergency Situations. Huh? Are we that incompetent that we cannot provide our own security? We have police. We have National Guard. We have U.S. troops. Oh, wait a minute. They're deployed in somebody else's mess all the time, aren't they? Why in God's green earth are we going to rely on Russian? Why? It just seems like yesterday, ding, ding, that Putin was talking about, I don't know if I would be supporting troops that eat their enemy. And now all of a sudden Russian troops are going to show up on U.S. soil? They're agreeing to exchange experts during joint rescue operation in major disasters. Now, that's in quotes. The Russian Emergency Situation Ministry will also be providing security at mass events. Have they talked to the Christians? They're going to mass events. A little humor there, folks. This suggests that events designated as National Special Security Events by the Department of Homeland Security, which will include, hello, wait a minute, did I just talk about the NFL? The Super Bowl, international summits such as the G8, and presidential inaugurations. There it is, folks, right there. There it is. You can't make this stuff up. And obviously, you're not going to hear this on NBC's nightly news. Will now rely partly on Russian authorities to provide security. Am I on the right country? Did I wake up in La La Land in Oz? The meeting last week also agreed on the conclusion that U.S. and Russian emergency authorities will increase their cooperation, quote, in order to respond efficiently to all kinds of disasters. Now, what disaster could happen at a presidential inauguration? Oh, boy, I wonder. The use of foreign troops or other officials in law enforcement capacity providing, quote, security inside the United States is illegal under the Posse Comitatus. Does anybody know what the Posse Comitatus is? If I didn't have an audio on during the opening segment, I asked that question. Basically told you to go find the Constitution, look up Posse Comitatus, and find out exactly what it is. Captain William Geddes of the U.S. Army Reserve acknowledged last year that this is against federal law to use U.S. troops to conduct police patrols, despite the fact that such occurrences are becoming increasingly common. All through the social media networks, there are pictures, videos that citizen journalists, citizen reporters, which relates to a story we're going to come to shortly, are turning in valuable pictures documenting things that are going on within the United States, and they shore up independent stories like this. Out in California, Nevada, I don't forget where it was. Memory's failing me. I'm getting old. There were pictures of trains, of massive trains, miles long, of military equipment. Now, the military at times will turn around and say, well, this is equipment that was earmarked to go to the Middle East, didn't make it, so they're just relocating it. It's going to go to some, the big airplane cemetery. They got some other places they store this stuff. And that's what their explanation is on the surface, first round of encounter. He further goes on to say, the use of foreign troops is an even more clear-cut violation of Posse Comitatus. Last year reported on how Russian troops were invited to the U.S. as part of a Fort Carson, Colorado drill focused around anti-terror training. Aside from learning how to target terrorists in America, the Russian soldiers were also out in the local community, attending a baseball game in Colorado Springs. As Mark Slavo writes, rumors have circulated for years about the possibility of foreign troops being deployed on U.S. soil in the event of a widespread declaration of a national emergency. Now, any of you who haven't listened to my show over the last year or so, year and a half, whatever it's been on, we don't go down that road very often, yet there are rumors that were very subtle, very distant a year or so ago about how Obama could get a third term in office. You know the guy I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, this guy right over here, him. Yeah. If there were a national emergency declared, who would have to enforce the national security? Obviously, it then falls into our troops to remember their oath that they took when they went into the service of the United States of America. I just gave Oath Keepers a little plug there. Good group. Go find out and figure out who they are. Get involved with them. Hey, and don't take my word. I'm just Jim. Go take it out. Check it out for yourself. Oathkeepers.org. One of the fastest growing nonviolent groups. Them, Sons of Liberty Riders, Patriot Guard. There's a whole bunch of groups out there who actually understand what's going on here in America and are doing things. For quite some time, there have been anecdotal reports to support the claim that UN, Russia, and other nations would be used in policing capacity should some critical event befall our nation, and we're the greatest nation in the world, and we can't take care of ourselves. Yes, we need to call our enemies in. Our friendly enemies. How's that? I'll call it the friendly enemies. The fear such a scenario could take place has been these soldiers would act under the banner of their own flags, ignoring the fundamental protections afforded to our citizens, not our U.S., us, not illegal immigrants that are chucking to come in over the border. Oh, don't deport my daddy. I need my daddy. Crock of crap. The fears under the banner of their own flags, ignoring the fundamental protections afforded to United States of American citizens, leaving Americans under the jurisdiction of people who don't even speak our language or respect our fundamental rights to self-defense, to be secure in our homes, and to be presumed innocent in the eyes of the law until proven guilty. Concerns about foreign troops being used on U.S. soil have lingered ever since the release of State Department publication 7277. Go look it up, which is a blueprint for the harmonization of U.S. and Russian forces under the framework of United Nations-led global government. Oh, what? Listeners, Agenda 21. Everything's skimming back to Agenda 21. I see my camera's going nuts here. Sorry if the camera's fluctuating with light, but then, again, not your problem. Just bear with me. Back in 2008, it was reported that the U.S.-Canadian authorities had signed an agreement that would pave the way to using each other's militaries on both sides of the border during an emergency. Alex Jones has documented foreign troops being trained on U.S. soil, dealing with insurgents since the late 1990s as part of urban warfare drills. Have any of you been subject to that? Have you seen that stuff firsthand? Now, I'm up at Lake Wisheyebegone. Oh, and it's a gorgeous day up here at Lake Wisheyebegone. That's why we stay here. Have any of you seen or encountered U.S. troops, not police, U.S. military troops, National Guards, providing security, anything else at an event, a public event, or a basketball game, a baseball game, or something like that? If you have, remember to talk diligently. Ask them why they're there. Challenge, if you can or will, their authority to be there. Under what authority are they there? Under what guise of state and national law are they standing doing what they're doing? If you understand the posse comitatus law, you'll understand that this, unless there's a national emergency, National Guard, state has to be declared by the governor or the prez, OhBoy, and then it's police action. Sheriffs have the ultimate authority in law enforcement in your community. You need to understand that. You need to befriend your sheriff's department, specifically your county sheriff. They have more authority than you even could imagine. Logically, people mostly think, well, okay, there's the police, there's the sheriff, there's the National Guard, there's the U.S. Army. I'm going to tell you something. Understand the power that starts and stops with a sheriff. Absolutely needs to be your best friend, your new best friend, the entire sheriff's department, in situations that concern local security. Alex Jones has documented foreign troops being trained on U.S. soil to deal with insurgents. Insurgents? Does that mean United States people? Wait a minute. I've heard that 3 million insurgents are in Egypt. Yeah, something like that. Taking to the streets, screaming, what is it? Oh, hell no, I won't go. No, I don't know what they're screaming. But in the 90s, in the late 90s, as part of urban warfare drills. In July of 2010, reporters uncovered Operation Vigilant Guard, exercises in Chicago, which involved Polish troops training alongside U.S. National Guard troops in drills focused around raiding terrorists and drug dealers. Remember, Chicago had some summit there, and I believe that they even were doing the old black helicopters in downtown Chicago or in the suburbs, flying over, doing their military exercises. Not all U.S. You got to remember who's manning the choppers. But I believe that they had to have a corridor, and I'm not defending their actions. They had to have a corridor for emergency services from Chicago up to Milwaukee, as that would be the next logical close place to provide in case something had some Allah Akbar dude show up, or Ahmed the terrorist show up. Be still, I kill you. Nope, I better give him a buzz here. Hey, my dinger is being stifled. integrating to some of the civil military units that are participating in this exercise as part of Illinois' partnership with the Republic of Poland, a relationship based around integrative training and blending military and civilian forces in the event of national emergency, as well as making this process of integration with foreign troops more visible. Paul is a author of Order Out of Chaos. He hosts occasionally the nightly news over on Alex Jones Network. Alex does some good investigative work, and he's always stirring the pot. I give him that. He's in your face kind of reporter, but there's nothing wrong with that, because some of this politically correct crap, it's well, not some of it, all of it. There's no Yahoo to it. Why news is supposed to be? While I give an editorial and commentary on news stories like this, how asinine they are. This homogenization of news as it comes in, if it comes in, ends up not doing anybody any good from an informative standpoint. And even some of the stories I do, I have to tell you, go check them out. I've got whatever sources I have. We report. I give you my personal opinion on it. But get your butts out there. Do a little bit of investigative. Turn the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock news off. Don't worry about them. You can get up in the morning and see what's going on for all the value that your local news. You want to find out if there's something going on, look in the newspaper, go online. But these stories are things that you need to know about, because guess what? They affect your style of living, your quality of your living, and or your budget. You can hear about all these massive expenditures, Obama in Africa, $7 billion. Well, we're going to give you $7 billion. Electricity is a right, so you want your kid to read at night and study, and I understand that. But guess what, old boy? You're playing the village idiot again. We cannot save the world, boy. Son. Yes, I'm your senior by a bunch, so I get the right to call you son. You haven't proven any form of leadership other than dipping into my pocketbook and my neighbor's pocketbook up here at Lake Wisheyebegone, where nothing works. And with this immigration reform that this quote-unquote Chicago-style gang of politicians has put together, you have effectively, I will give you this, that by this action of 8, you will raise 47% to 60%. I understand exactly what you did, boy. Yeah, I'm calling you boy. And no, I'm not Paula Dean. This crap by your administration has to cease and desist. We, the people, cannot continue to support and pay for your folly. You don't get it. I understand that. You don't have the wherewith to understand it, other than personal direction. It's all about me. Let's talk about me. I hear something that starts off with President Obama. I think of Toby Keith. I want to talk about me. That's all I get from either one of you two. And it's trickle down technology. Reaganomics right here. If you're over on the TV side, I hope you are. Right there. The old Jackson duo waiting to be sentenced. Coming right out of Illinois. Illinois politics. Gangland style politics. Murder rate is up. Defrauding the public is up. You know, I got to say something that Illinois is a leader, but it's damn near nothing that I want to be a leader of or even lay claim to. Here's a story coming out of Wisconsin. Hey, homeland state. I hate that word, but I use it. About a year ago, I ran a story, and I was looking for the article, the printout, and I'll get it back because this is now going to be in the forefront of some of our news talk. Heritage Parkway receives a $125,000 grant. This, my fine feathered friends, patriots, the wood ticks are going to hear. If you're on the TV side, do you see this picture I grabbed? Oh, this is awesome. This is exactly what wood ticks do. You understand when I say good morning, wood ticks and patriots? Which one are you? Huh? Believe it or not, this snake survived. The patriots survived with all the leeches, wood ticks, sucking blood from them. Take a look at that. That is exactly what our society is today, right here. If you're on the TV side, hope you get to see that picture. That is what's going on to patriots right there. The wood ticks, 47%. Oh, God. I got to shut these phones off. Sorry, folks. That's exactly what's going on. Yeah, just, hang on, folks. I got to turn this damn thing off. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, I have... Anyway, when I say wood ticks and patriots, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what's going on in your world. And, excuse me. This story right here, about a year ago I ran it. It's called the Fox, Wisconsin Heritage Parkway. They changed the name around a little bit. It's Fox Valley, Wisconsin Heritage Parkway. They just got a $125,000 grant. And how ironic is this? About a month or so ago, this story had been so quiet. There was this big uproar, big flurry of meetings. Citizens were awakening, figuring things out. And they thought, and everybody thought, that this thing had sort of kind of been quelled and killed. All of a sudden, June 30th, this story comes out and says, Fox, Wisconsin Heritage Parkway has been awarded $125,000 from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to lead efforts to create restoration plans for 1,200 feet of Fox River shoreline. Now that's, if you're over on the TV side, right at this is only there's only 1,200 feet. Do you understand what's going on here? $125,000 to restore 1,200 feet. The Fox River Heritage Parkway, if you're on the TV side, runs from Green Bay all the way down to Prairie du Chien. Understand the length and breadth of this project as it was originally proposed. And typical of the wood ticks who suck our tax dollars, this will be taken in very small pieces, and at $125,000 for 1,200 feet at the Neville Public Museum in Green Bay. It's the start, excuse me, of the entire strip from Green Bay down to Prairie du Chien along the Fox River. The plans will develop and enhance shallow water fish habitat and increase public access to the water. Earlier this month, the U.S. Department of Interior named 280-mile river corridor. Understand what's going on here, folks. From 1,200 feet to 280 miles. Are you listening? Wake up. As a national recreation trail. I'm only going to give you a piece of this. I will dig up the old article. I'll probably get on the phone one of the guys who's heading up the anti-group, if they can even do anything anymore. I don't know if they can. Once these things start rolling, once the wood ticks get embedded into your skin, they start sucking until they blow up. 280-mile corridor known as the Fox Wisconsin Heritage Parkway as a national recreation trail, the first and only Wisconsin water trail given this designation. Listen to the words that are used in these reports, folks, when you read these articles. The first. How deep does the portfolio go? Ask yourself. Winnebago to New London? Ask yourself. This is only the first and only Wisconsin water trail given this designation. The Parkway's historic route stretches from Green Bay to the Mississippi River. DOI, Department of Interior Secretary Sally Jewell, and the National Park Service Director Jan Jarvis described the route as, quote, significant as the exploration route of Father Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet. The trail celebrates how the Lower Fox, Upper Fox, Lower Wisconsin rivers have shaped the state's journey through historical events. I'm going to tell you something, folks. You let Russian troops in on U.S. soil, it isn't going to matter doodly squat about our heritage. Do you get my drift? Industrial breakthroughs, cultural advances, employment of recreational riches, and environmental recovery. If you read Agenda 21, in any section, any one of the 9 segments of Agenda 21, it will claim environmental recovery. In your little world, folks, in your local little lake Wisheyebegone, do you have what's called comprehensive planning? If you don't know, go find out. And if you think, oh, well, maybe that's good. We don't need this. We don't need that. I don't want this. And there's a reason we patriots live at Lake Wisheyebegone. We've shucked off most of the major urban particles that have stuck in our lives. We don't want all this crap. But guess what? Comprehensive planning. Go read Agenda 21 before you go look. If you find out you got comprehensive planning, sustainable living. These are all buzzwords that interconnect directly back to what did I just tell you here with the Russian troops? This is right out of Agenda 21. A UN-driven government. One world government. Education. Common Core. It's spelled out. No child left behind. These are all feel-good words, little buzzwords. And every time Americans get keyed in on the buzzwords of the day, they change the name. That's all they do. No Child Left Behind. Started in 2001. GW. Signed it into law. Greatest thing you can think of. Yeah, we don't want to let our kids fall behind. No Child Left Behind. It started a nationalization of education by a bunch of bureaucrats who can't turn in a budget. 8 years, 7, 8 years, he hasn't turned a budget in, but he's going to control the educational environment. His staff knows everything. Wait a minute. The same long-term legislators were sitting in office in 2001 and signed into No Child Left Behind law. Oh, wait a minute. Nothing's changed in Washington. The same guys are there. And now they got the flag of, oh, well, we need a better bill. You people need a better law because this ain't working. And it was supposed to be done by 2007. What happened? Well, the teachers pissed and moaned about it. Sorry if you're going to get ticked off, teachers. And yeah, I'm not going to talk in politically correct terms. You got pissed off. The unions got pissed off. Well, we need extensions. We're not familiar with it. Today, head of national education in D.C. is now saying, well, you can apply for an extension on this Common Core thing. It went from No Child Left Behind to Race to the Top to Common Core. And it all sounds good. Let's level the playing field. No child left behind. So we'll just level up. There's no hills, valleys, peaks, bumps. Yeah, we'll take all of our gifted students and send them off to advanced placement classes. Hello, my school district. 10% of our entire school population is into a college advanced placement test class curriculum. And our high school sits now. And there's no peaks for intelligence, and there's no drops now for slower kids. Because every child has the opportunity and ability to learn something. Our teaching mechanisms do not take the time to find out what that thing is. Common Core is exactly the placid, level playing field that the United Nations, in their education, in the control of the minds of children, is exactly what they want. Skim off the top, send them and see what they can do, and then say, well, they don't need to be held back. So we'll let them go, but we'll let them go somewhere else. Oh, and there's money involved in that too, people. Look at your school district's budget. Environmental recovery, that is an Agenda 21 term. Lower Green Bay and the Fox River are one of 5 areas of concern. Hello, did you hear what I said before? It is the first. You gotta lace your boots up, one boot hole strap at a time. The AOC was established in the mid-'80s. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Oh, 80s. When was Agenda 21? When was the convention in Argentina? Oh, wait a minute. Governor Tommy Thompson was in office at that time. And guess what? In the mid-'80s, Agenda 21, let's see, who went there as a representative for the United States of America? Hillary, what difference does it make? She was our rep. Tommy Thompson couldn't wait to sign the bill as a voluntary program. We did not have to become involved in Agenda 21. Tommy Thompson, the guy who lost, I'm not going to say it, to you-know-who, is the guy that signed us up. And old Hillary led the pack. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this one right here. There, you're over on the TV side. That's the one there on the left. And the one on the right's probably trying to tell her, this ain't happening on my watch, honey. I got to get that picture. I forgot the bumper sticker we just saw. And I did. I'm telling you, folks, when this last old boy got reelected, I said, what's the next logical ticket to happen? Biden's surely not it. Well, and if Hillary doesn't want to play, maybe he'll step forward. Mark my words. Hillary's not done. She backed away from Secretary of State because in 3 years America will have forgotten Benghazi and how she screwed up and helped have our troops killed. Her and the OhBoy administration got our boys killed over there, and nothing's ever going to be done about it unless we, the people, continue to hold their feet to the fire. General after general and admiral after admiral will be resigned, told to go off into the sunset. Somebody else just got killed. Another general got killed the other day. But in the mid-1990s, because of a major environmental problem, there you go, land control and acquisition. People read Agenda 21. There's only 9 segments, although each segment's kind of long, but they spell everything out of what these assholes are trying to do to our country. Yeah, okay, there's a quarter for my assholes. Oh, another quarter. See, I do that when I swear. I throw a quarter in the kitty at the end of the year. I'll write the check to some nonprofit or for-profit. It doesn't matter. If the cause is good and I like it, I'm going to write them a check at the end of the year with all my swear money because I can. Because of major environmental problems caused by toxic substances, primarily PCBs, excessive nutrient and sediment loads, and physical habitat alterations. Have any of you ever had a note attached to your tax bill, or if you live in the Northwoods or rural America, a thing called impervious runoff? Agenda 21, folks. It's in there. Physical habitat alterations. You got to pay a tax on that. You got to pay for that because we wood ticks, we like to float down the river and look at what you want to change. We don't want you to do that. We want to tell you what to do with your property. That is exactly what this Heritage Parkway is all about. People who don't have jack doodly squat want to tell you what to do with your property. They want to have you relinquish all rights to your property, continue to pay taxes because they want to do something with it, because in our Constitution, of course, it says that waterways belong to the people. Yay! How's that working out down there in Texas in the aquifers? Aha! The area outside of Neville Public Museum is one of the areas with the AOC that suffers from loss of natural shoreline habitat and contaminated sediments. Now let me ask you a question. Who builds libraries, museums? The government. And did the government make a good choice when they built this museum? Well, as time has said, no, they haven't, because now they're bitching about some natural habitat that they screwed up with our tax dollars, so now we got to pay for their incompetence again. And this is only 1,200 feet. 1,200 feet out of 280 miles. And if you're on the camera, watch, 280 miles from Green Bay all the way down. Okay, I'll draw it your way. Green Bay all the way down to the Mississippi River and Prairie du Chien. How far back from the riverbed do they go? Does anybody know? You want to call me up and tell me, 855-490-2300. That'll get you right in here to the studio. I'm going to tell you that you have no idea. The townships, the people, the property owners do not have an idea what just happened with $125,000 of your own tax dollars. You're now going to pay someone else to take away your property rights. Are you getting this? Are you getting what an oxymoron you live in? Did you just continue to let happen? Well, yeah, I don't have time. Yeah, get up off your couch potato asses. You know, call 911, get involved. I can't say it any plainer than that. When I come back, we are going to talk about Syria. I'm long overdue for this one. You got Just Jim in the morning on No, I'm not on PEG. I'm on the Dose of Reality Network. Just Jim show in the bunker from Lake Wisheyebegone.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's North Woods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station.
At OhBoy Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At OhBoy Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
Digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit?
Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back, wood ticks and patriots. I'm hoping all the wood ticks have gone away. I told you I was going to talk about Syria, and I am. I'm not going to talk real long on it because, here's that article. And it's going to cross across a couple of countries. It's just Syria happens to be one of them, and because of recent events over there. And I don't know. I'm assuming, and I never assume anything. I normally don't. I'm going to take it that you guys don't know it, because if all you're doing is listening to the alternative or to regular media, you won't know it. This guy right here. Cannibal Abu Sakkar explains why he ate soldier's heart. Now, there was a video. I saw it. I chose, and I am choosing to not play it. For obvious reasons. Although at some point I may change my editorial decisions on these kinds of things. Because I believe that average Americans, and if you're watching this, you're probably listening, you're probably not an average American. But at the same time, I'm going to say that if you're not seeing this stuff, and if you don't force yourself to watch it, not necessarily the whole thing, but understanding what is going on. When you hear these assholes start screaming Allah Akbar and all that stuff, exactly where you stand, if you're a Christian, where you stand in what we are paying for with our tax dollars. The Muslim Brotherhood is getting our tax dollars, and then what are they doing? This, and I'll describe it, so if you don't want to hear it, just plug your ears for a second. This guy, the video that I saw, found his Syrian rebel. He's now called the Syrian Cannibal. He's explaining how he cut out and ate the heart of a government soldier in a Q&A style YouTube video. Now, while America is starting to want to censor what is going on the internet, in the alternative media, all of our opponents, and I'm going to call them opponents because they surely do not fit into what I would consider to be my happy place world, can't be trusted. The original viral went weeks ago and showed a Syrian opposition fighter, Abu Sakkar, cutting out the heart of a government soldier. That's the politically correct term of what it showed. It depicted, do any of you guys and girls out there, men and ladies, patriots, you deer hunt? When you gut a deer, if you've ever seen it done, that's exactly what this guy did to this soldier. Split him asses to chest bone, ripped out his liver and his heart, and started eating. Now do I have your attention? These are the guys that we're spending this guy right here, he's sending more money over there to support these guys. This was right when the old boy was over there for the summit, talking to Putin. This guy. Right there, you recognize this picture. And it has to strike you as an oxymoron. When I'm listening to Putin say, here's the headline. I'm not the headline, I just read the paragraph. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned Western states against providing weapons to foreign-backed militants who have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, saying plans to give them arms contradict basic human values. This is coming out of a Russian president. And our boy is sending money to this guy who can't wait to split somebody's asses to chest bone and eat their organs. West must not arm organ eaters in Syria, Putin says. Did anybody see this on a standard news show? I know that Beck, I don't know that he showed the whole video. I hope he did. And I hope Beck followers watched it. A couple of weeks ago. That was the story then. And over the weekend, the next branch. Sunday, June 23rd. Just why it seemed like only yesterday. The Vatican has now verified that one of their priests, the Syrian priest Franco Murad, that one cut off. I printed. I'm old. I need to have big print on my stories. Father Francio, let's just call him that, 49 years old, was beheaded. And, of course, there's a video, not only one, but every Tom, Dick, and Harry Allah Akbar boy was standing around with an iPad or an iPhone 5 taking video. Again, I watched it. Most of you have not. I'm going to tell you to go look it out. Find it and look at it. On this page, the big blank spot on the paper is exactly where the video was. With a warning, the video contains extremely graphic footage. 4 years ago, when the journalist was beheaded. See, and I have trouble with this terminology of beheading, because beheading is not what one traditionally thinks about as what happened in World War II with a samurai sword, one swift move, or a guillotine. These yahoos take a knife about that long, about a foot. I probably got one up in my kitchen cabinet that I cut up my tenderloins with. You do too. And they don't just one swipe, they saw. And they're not anesthetized. These boys and girls are live. The Vatican confirmed the beheading of Catholic priest in Syria. Franciscan Father Franco Murad was killed by Syrian jihadists on June 23rd. Catholic Online reports jihadists accused Father Franco of collaborating with the Assad regime. The publication has obtained this video and believes shows it's his beheading. Trust me, him and one other guy, and a guy that was taking, I think it was asylum in the convent. We're taking refugee, and both of them were beheaded, and then they placed their heads on their bodies, on their bellies, and everybody runs around and, I don't know what the hell they do to them. Holler Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar, whatever the hell it is. On and on they go. The only reason that I'm talking about it at all, mention it, is because it isn't something that I believe will ever hit the mainstream. There will be no playing of the video. Nobody's got the cojones to jump into American living rooms on the 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock news and actually show part of this. I'm not telling you to show it all, but I'm going to tell you it is news. It is grand slam news. You always talk about, news directors always want to talk about getting the scoop, getting the story. Well, the story is, and I'm not saying that some of this stuff isn't important, because we have some minor stories going on that we're involved with, and I think it's a big scoop too. And our local people don't even cover that. They don't have the cojones. They don't know what journalism is. They only know what feel-good, happy place, happy meal, feel-good crap is about. Unless it's so bad. Oh, child molester. Wait a minute, child molester? Oh, what happened to the Catholic Church? Sorry, a lot of Catholics are going to hate me for this, but they finally were, just before they were ordered by the court, the Milwaukee Archdiocese released, I think, 35,000 pages of, or 3,500, I don't know, one or the other, of documents describing with pictures all of the molesters who the church has coddled over the years. Not an interesting subject to talk about, yet it is so embedded in our society, and everybody wanders around with this gaze on their face saying, oh, I don't know what's going on in America. I don't know what to do. I don't know. You know, I don't know is your wood ticks. You're sucking. You may have the best current Christian life in the world, but you're still not getting up off your patooties and doing anything. There is an absolute need to have activism just gone rampant in America today. People have to stand up and say, I've had enough. Yes, I wasn't diligent last year or 10 years ago or 30 years ago. I was living a high. I'm standing here today. I'm sitting here today telling you it's my fault. America is the way it is today because I did not stand up and do what needed to be done to those village idiots who were perpetrating crimes against my fellow American citizens. And I'm telling you, the Catholic Church is part of it. If you know it, you damn well better correct it, because that makes you guilty as the person doing it if you know it and you don't do anything to take care of it. That's the way it is. And now all of a sudden when groups, I would go right into this. To this report right here, Scripps reporters uncover Lifeline data leak. Oh, boy. There we go. This is OhBoys, right back to the administration. What it takes to be an independent news reporter with stories that are not carried by the mainstream media. And everybody is watching all of the testimony is on the Hill about data mining, data acquisition on your cell phones, on your email, on a this, on a that. But here's a little report that goes very unnoticed, yet is as important as all of the major big guys. Verizon. Oh, yeah, Verizon. They got a big name. Let's trash them. Let's trash big business. How about this one? Listen up. Listen real close to this one. Reporters who uncovered a 170,000 consumer data privacy breach within a subsidized Lifeline telephone program find themselves described as, quote, hackers and threatened with the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Now you'd say, well, why would that be? Because it's one of the little boys. Here's a little organization that uncovered 107, this is not a small uncovering, 170,000 consumer data privacy breaches. That means there's 170,000 customers who were subsidized by guess who? Network World coverage follows, as well as a video with the Scripps story, Privacy on the Line. Scripps news reporters discovered 170,000 phone customers' records online that contained everything needed for identity theft. Do you understand what this is? After requesting an interview with the COO of the Terracom and Yourtel, the reaction was kill the messenger style. The reporters were called Scripps hackers and threatened with violating Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Scripps News was looking into Lifeline, a government program offering affordable phone service for low-income citizens. Does this open up any door in your mind? Last year, the FCC tightened the rules for the program by requiring Lifeline phone carriers to document applicants' eligibility, which led to collecting more sensitive information from citizens. But telecom carriers must not retain copies, quote unquote, of sensitive information used to validate eligibility. Yet a Scripps News investigative team claims it Googled the phone companies Terracom Incorporated and Yourtel America Incorporated to discover 170,000 files online, all of which contain sensitive information that would make the identity theft a breeze for thieves. The Scripps News investigation, Privacy on the Line, said 170,000 unprotected records from at least 26 states, including 44,000 application or certification forms and 127,000 supporting documents or proof files, such as scans or photos of food stamp cards, driver's license, tax records, U.S. and foreign passports, U.S. and foreign passports, pay stubs, and parole letters. And did you ever hear about this thing online? Have you at your 6 and 10 o'clock news? Hell, does CNN or Fox even report this one? I don't think so. The 44,000 applications came from residents from the following states. 18 states. Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Maryland, Rhode Island, and Maine. These applications list, quote, potential customers' names, signatures, birth dates, home addresses, and a partial or full Social Security number. Well, no wonder OhBoy got his own Social Security number. He just went online and took one. A Scripps reporter asked for an on-camera interview with the COO of Terracom and Yourtel after explaining the files were freely available online. That did not happen, of course, but shortly thereafter, the customer records disappeared from the internet. Then the blame the messenger hacker accusations and mudslinging began. Though the blame the messenger's hacker accusation and mid-selection, although the Scripps reporters videotaped the process showing how they found the documents, attorney Jonathan Lee for both telecoms threatened the Scripps hackers with violating Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Lee wrote a letter informing Scripps that the intrusions and downloading of sensitive records were associated with Scripps' IP address. Now the lawyers become involved, claiming, oh, well, it was online and it was on our IP number, so therefore it was our personal property. Trying to slough off lack of security online. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, by gaining unauthorized access to confidential computer files maintained by the companies by vCare, which is a third party, and by digitally transferring the information in these folders to Scripps. Lee added that the Scripps hackers eventually used WeGet to find the download the company's confidential files. WeGet was the same tool used by Facebook Mark Zimmerman in the film Social Networking to collect student photos in various Harvard University directories. The rest of the letter pretty much blamed the Scripps hackers for the cost of breach notifications, demanded Scripps hand over all evidence, as well as the identity and intentions of the hackers, before warning that Scripps will be sued. Well, let's see. They have evidence, so I have to turn over to the Attorney General's office or wherever they are. And if in fact, of course, there are ways to find old documents on the internet. Additionally, Terracom posted a security breach notice that states, as far as we can tell, the vast majority of applicant data files were accessed by the Scripps Howard News Service, and we are sorry that personal data of Lifeline applicants was accessed by the news service and possibly by other unauthorized persons. But if you don't protect it and don't if you put it online and then say, well, it was accessed by somebody, sorry, oh, woe is me. Oh, they tied her to the railroad track. Washington Attorney S. Janelle Trigg, who has led seminars on privacy laws, asking questions about vCare, the company that has a corporate footprint in Seattle, but primarily operates from a suburb of Wait a minute, where? New Delhi, India. Trigg asked, why post it? Why make it available online under any circumstances? How was this Indian company vetted? What investigation did the Americans do to check on them? See, you can't just hire a third party to do something for you and then not verify that they did what you said, if in fact they were told to secure the information. I tell my clients, and have for decades, never put anything on the internet that you're not prepared to lose. However fancy and however easy it sounds, cloud storage, that is the next bilking of America. If you want to lose all of whatever data you put on a cloud, you're screwed. Oh, but I've been using it for years and nothing ever happened. How do you know? Remember, wait a minute, cell phones, listening, data mining, nothing is free, folks. Trust me. If it's free, it's for me. That's a wood tick statement. The FCC admitted, while we don't generally confirm or deny the existence of a specific investigation, we are aware, we are aware of this incident. The email added, quote, that a carrier could be fined up to $1.5 million for a single violation of privacy. Did you get that? $1.5 million for screwing with your identity, not. Well, I'm sure that this is coming down to saying that the Scripps investigators could be fined the 1.5, but if they were able to get in and get the data with little or no security breach, if it was technically online, unsecured, they would not be liable for $1.5 million violation. They haven't violated anything. They just went looking, and it's not that hard to find stuff on the net. Scripps added, that the Indiana Attorney General's office has launched, quote unquote, has launched an investigation to release the Terracom applicants' personal data. The Texas Attorney General's office is also scrutinizing the practices of Terracom and Yortel. Company officials declined numerous requests for an interview. Of course they would. But in a written statement, Dale Schmick, chief operating officer for both companies, said they were actively investigating the full extent of any security breach. Well, boys, I'm going to say kudos to you and your investigative team. And a lot of people would ask the question, how does a group of reporters decide that this is what they're going to investigate? Let me tell you something. Once the inquisitive nature, let's call it the 2-year-old mentality, is awakened in a human being, coupled with a small dose of logic, once those two things are awakened and the simple question is asked and you've got a computer and you can go check things out, and if you follow logic, or the more logic-oriented you get in your question asking, and go to this step, go to that step, go to the next step, you'll be 100 steps down the road, and you'll have so much information on a question you just asked, quite innocently, I might ask, that you'll end up with something like this. This is what journalism and investigative reporting is supposed to be doing. I would challenge anybody to say that these boys have violated anything in improper application of technology. And of course, corporate America will stand up and try to cover their asses in the way that they usually try to. Excuse me, I got to have a little coffee here. And try to, what's the word? I was just in a conversation yesterday. Just put up a big smoke screen and let lying dogs lie. Just hope they go away. They get scared. We, the people, have become extremely scared in our lives. I see it all the time. and you can tell it in a person's voice. If you're talking about something that you know is questionable, or that you've just questioned, even if it's just a very innocent conversation, stop off at your local, eatery, pub, social gathering with friends over the weekend or a weekday, it doesn't matter. Something comes up and a conversation starts, and if you've got a little tidbit of information and you pipe up and you say it, you will find probably 75% of the people in your immediate, my daughter used to call it her bubble, will shy away from the conversation, if not coyly kind of dismiss themselves from the immediate group because they don't want to talk about it. It's too unsettling. It violates their happy place, their ignorant place. Because if you know something, you're truly bound by that knowledge. It's going to bug you. If you've got any moral fiber in your being, it's going to bug you. You're going to be saying, God, how are they doing that? And then once you find out why they're doing it, then it's like, well, this has got to stop. Well, then it's like frustration sets in. And then you turn around and say, okay, if nobody else is going to do something, I got to try and do something. Oh, speak of the devil. I'll throw this in here just right now, just because I can. There's a letter we picked up the other day. I don't know if I can see that there. The district attorney's office here, up at Lake Wisheyebegone. Hey, what do you know about that? District attorney. Why would they be talking to me? Oh, regarding an open meeting law complaint. Oh. Doing something. Getting up off your couch potato ass. This letter is a reference to the open meetings law complaint that I received on June 17th, 2013. I did forward that information to the County Sheriff's Department for further investigation. Kind of mistake one, but okay. I will forward any additional information I receive after the investigation is complete. If you require any additional information or have additional questions, please feel free to contact me. Cordial letter. The interesting part of this mess is that we had it sent to our P.O. box. See that little yellow strip right there? It was returned to sender. Box is closed. Unable to forward. Return to sender. Wait a minute. The cynical me says, why would the post office close a P.O. box that we've been getting mail at forever and a day? Closed, unable to forward. It says right on here, district attorney, to my company. My first question is, who works at the post office that would do this? What connection to the government body that's being accused of violating an open meetings law? Who works at the post office that would refuse that letter? Well, we're going to find out, folks, because now you get somebody's dander up. You're going to start asking more questions. This will be added to the list of complaints with the city government. And I will find out who works there and what connection there is. I don't care if it's a sister-in-law, it's a brother-in-law, it's a cousin, whatever it is, distant cousin. Somebody just messed with the Postal Service, and I'm not happy about it. But I'm going to find out, and it's going to get thrown on the stack of charges that are already that are pending. And then we're going to go find out what the process is. Yeah, you ever know what the process is for filing complaints against your government? Well, you get stories like this that come out of Scripps. Yeah, big fraud, big investigation. Why were you there? What are you doing there? I got a couple minutes here before we're going to come back and talk about this other story, the feel-good story here. That's just waiting. I'm going to close with it because I want to feel good when I get out of the way here. A couple of Fridays, June 28th, New York, a news corporation formally split in two after the market closed on Friday, with existing shareholders getting one share in a new company for every 4 shares they held in the media company. Since Wednesday of last week, preliminary shares of both sides of the company have been trading as if the split had already occurred. Any buyers of preliminary shares will receive them next Friday. Preliminary publishing shares closed Friday at $15.25, and the new company publishing division will be named News Corp, and it'll be valued at around $8.8 million. That's 12% of the entire company value, and it has a capitalization of $75.5 billion before the split. The movie and TV division, renamed 21st Century Fox Incorporated, its preliminary stock closed at $28.99 on Friday. Now, you understand, okay, why is that important? We're talking about news delivery services. This Rupert Murdock, who will be chairman of both companies and CEO of 21st Century Fox, will retain his grip on both companies by controlling nearly 40% of the voting stock in each company. The stock completes a process that the company announced a year ago and responds to investor concerns that the newspaper and book publishing divisions were dragging on the faster-growing pay TV business. By separating, publishing division can devote resources towards engineering a turnaround, while the Fox side focuses on launching a national sports network to be called Fox Sports One that will compete with the pay TV leader ESPN. I was wondering when Fox Sports was going to make that move. To me, that was a very logical and long overdue move. ESPN has been dominating pay-per-view sports for quite some time. But it'll be interesting to see because most of the contracts are tied up with ESPN. But hey, in the fair market system, guess what? You get the bid. You got somebody else in there able to bid now. Murdoch's got the money. Whether it's a good thing or not, I can't tell. But at least there's hopefully going to be some bidding and may open up some more programming to some of those poor folks who can't afford cable. I mentioned this in the prelim here. Hobby Lobby won't have to pay fines. Out of Oklahoma City, Hobby Lobby and his sister company will not be subject to 1.3 million daily fines beginning Monday for failing to provide access to certain forms of birth control through its employer's health care plans. Are you here now, and folks? We got a winner, maybe. U.S. District Judge Joe Heaton set a hearing for July 19th to address claims by the owners of Hobby Lobby and the Mardel Christian bookstore chains that their religious beliefs are so deeply rooted that having to provide every form of birth control would violate their conscience. Yes, this is what separation of church and state are all about. You understand that? It's not separation from religion, separation of church and state. You go to work for a religious organization and then want that same organization to provide you with all the birth control you want. Where the hell have you grown up? Oh, yeah, well, I like the people in the religious bookstore. Well, they're nice people. But at the same time, I want to go out at night and screw around and have 500,000 babies and then have the government and all these my fellow workers pay for it. So I guess if I get birth control, I tell you, honey, put an aspirin between your legs and don't bend over. That's birth control. Just refrain from doing what you do. This is so ludicrous. Yet it makes, look at this. It makes 2 pages on a news release. I just find it interesting as all bejeebers, but I'm glad to read the story because I think it lends just a small dose of reality to what our world, my America, is supposed to be about. And OhBoy just doesn't, and Pelosi, I haven't played Joe Ligotti. I'll play it right after this. I'm going to play Joe Ligotti, and you get a little dose of what the guy from Boston thinks about Joe Pelosi. The 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said Thursday the companies were likely to prevail, comparing the companies to a kosher butcher unwilling to adopt non-kosher practices as part of a government order. Hello? That's it. Who does OhBoy think he is? Well, we don't know what's in it. Just pass it so we know what's in it. Jesus Christ, help us. Until a hearing, the government cannot impose fines on Hobby Lobby or Mardel for failing to comply with the Affordable Care Act. The company's owners oppose birth control methods that can prevent implantation of a fertilized eggs in the uterus, such as the intrauterine device or the morning after pill, but are willing to offer 16 other forms of birth control in the federal health care law. I mean, I get befuddled. The opinion makes it very clear what is valid religious belief and what is not. Spokesman for the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty, the group that is representing the companies and their owners. Ultimately what's going to happen is old OhBoy is going to probably not let go of this, because this would be what he would call the slippery slope. If you let one do it, you got to let them all do it. And that is not what control that this administration wants to hear. They want to be able to have everybody in America look just like this snake. Yep, let's just latch on to these boys. We're going to redistribute the wealth and the blood. We got a fantastic opinion from the 10th Circuit, which will impact all the cases. See, there you go. The appeals court on Thursday had suggested the company shouldn't have to pay the fines, but there were unaddressed questions pending at the lower court level. Why is the appellate court taking this while there's still pending decisions? That, to me, is pretty ludicrous. Oh, it's a stay, and a good thing. In fighting Hobby Lobby and other companies that oppose some or all forms of birth control, government lawyers had said companies cannot pick which portion of the Affordable Care Act they will comply with. Now, remember Muhammad Ali, conscientious objector. Do you remember that way back when, boys and girls? Do you remember that? When does the government have the right to say you do not have the right to exercise your beliefs? When in God's green earth did that come to be? When did that come to pass? I have so much trouble with that personally, and I hope you do too. I know all you patriots out there do, but I don't get all you wood ticks. And I'm telling you that with the immigration bill and the Equal Marriage Act, that 47% that Perry said, what's his face? I can't think of it. Like Perry, I was just reading an article by him. Sorry, I got brain fart. That was said to have could never get them to vote for him, has gone from 47% with these three pieces of legislation that this Nazi administration is pushing forward, has jumped that figure to 60%, guarantees all gravy train lovers a victory in almost every election in the next 10 years. And the government lawyers, my tax dollars, here, look at the oxymoron in this. Hobby Lobby pays taxes, employs people, they pay taxes, they are of like mind. The company says, look, there are two things that we cannot or will not provide. You can't tell us to provide it. And now their tax dollars, when they pay their corporate taxes, are paying the stupid lawyers sitting at the government level to fight them inside of a courtroom. Does that make any sense to you? Where on God's green earth does that come to be? But I'm glad for Hobby Lobby, and I hope every company who has any moral fiber, Chick-fil-A, I hope you all join in on a friend of the court amicus. Write an amicus. Join as friend of the plaintiff, and kick some government ass out of our lives for once. The problem with it is, like I said, you're paying to have somebody else to continue to tell you that their idea is what you don't believe in. It's us and them, but we still are paying their bill. Keep an eye right here. Here's whoop on the floor. Testing gravity. We're testing gravity today. I continually am amazed at how OhBoy runs my government. Obama, he's over in Johannesburg, and he announces this new power initiative, and then he announces off of American soil. This is the part that I think most Americans need to really tune in on. Even you wood ticks could agree with this, with my perspective on this. What U.S. president has issued edicts while off of American soil more than this administration? And think about it. Where does American law originate, and where does it end? According to this boy and this girl, I got a picture over here somewhere. I'm going to look for it. I can't stand her. Goes offshore, off of American soil, and bashes American people. I constantly talk about this. He's in Cape Town. Announces he's going to piss away $7 billion. I'm going to ask a $1 million question. Did even his gang of 8 Chicago thugs know that this was going to happen? This is the $7 billion. He's got another $9 billion coming in from private sectors. Will you be quiet? That's my dog. Hey, ba 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 ba. My dog Riley, living the life of Riley. Go lay down. Hang on a minute. Anyway, Obama will highlight U.S. efforts to bolster access to food and health programs on the continent. The U.S. and its private sector partners will initially focus its efforts in 6 African countries: Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria, Tanzania, and where Obama will wrap up his trip later this week. President George Bush, who supports health programs throughout the continent, will also be in Tanzania. And the White House did not rule out that them two would meet. I don't think that's going to happen. And then, of course, he had to go down and see Mandela. And then, of course, he goes offshore and he appoints, while he's off American soil, appoints ambassadors. Anybody read those stories? Check it out. I'm going to read it. You got to think, okay, why is this happening? We have Russian troops coming in, having an agreement to provide security, and he's going wandering off. Do you think he has visions of some kind of one world government? Do you think? Huh? And when we come back, we will talk about this feel-good story. And I hope it touches each and every one of the patriots that are listening. It surely touched me, and I know some people who were there, and I'm happy that they went, because it was something that will only happen. I hope it happens more than it has, but it's only happened a few times in the past number of years. Got Just Jim in the morning coming at you from the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegone on your Dose of Reality Network.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's North Woods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station.
At OhBoy Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hodag Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners, a listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners, a listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Oh, it's Joe Ligotti, the guy from Boston again, baby. And you know, I got a very interesting email from Tom from Austin, Texas. He sent me an email on a 500-plus employee company. And here are the stats on this company. 29 of these employees have been accused of fucking whacking their spouses around, whether they be male or female. 7 of them have been arrested for fraud. 19 of them have been accused of fucking bouncing checks from here to Chicago. 117 of these pricks have bankrupted at least 2 companies, not 1. 3 of them have done time for assault. All right? 71 cannot even get a MasterCard or a Visa because their credit sucks so bad. 14 have been arrested for smoking dope on drug or other drug charges. I don't know what they're snorting or smoking over there. 8 of them have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 of them are current defendants in actual lawsuits right now. And here's the best. You'll love this one. 84 of these employees this year have been arrested for drunk driving. Are you all right? You want to know what this company, who this company is, and what it does? It's a company that works for you and works for me. That's right, the United States Congress. Absolutely. Don't you love it? These assholes, led by the head asshole Nancy Pelosi, that liberal bitch who's trying to take away my handguns, letting the fags get married, and taking away my cigars and trans fats. And these bastards got that kind of a record, trying to keep me in line? You! That's right. Guy from Boston, baby, talking about the United States Congress. They're f***ing beautiful. Remember, you were thinking it, but I get the balls to say it.
Hey, Joe Ligotti! I told you I haven't played him in a while. Hey, and I'm glad I did. Just for all you new listeners out there. Yeah, Joe's got the cojones. He says what he feels like, and I tried to edit some of that out, and I didn't do a real good job, but hey, maybe I wasn't intending to. So now you know where my comment came from with the Pelosi, the Pelosi comment and what she does or doesn't do. Hey, and on that, I am going to jump on, and I'm going to play 2 little quick cuts here that maybe you haven't heard.
Surrounding HIV testing, which is still plaguing so many of our communities, which you all know, a lot of that is due to homophobia. Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, Wait
a minute, what was that? What was that now? His home country in Kenya?
In Kenya, we took a public HIV test for the very point of showing folks in Kenya that there is nothing to be embarrassed about in getting tested. And we did it as a couple.
It is just wonderful to be back in Oregon, and over the last 15 months we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states.
You should not come back.
I think one left to go. Alaska and Hawaii I was not allowed to go to, even though I really wanted to visit, but my staff would not justify it.
Somebody didn't tell you when you need to shut up.
You're listening to the ramblings of a moron.
I actually want to thank you because you remind me of why I don't like people.
Don't take this personally, but I mean, you have no talent.
It is.
Well, you know that. There you go. 57 states. That's the old boy in 2008. That's what he was doing as he's running to be the president of the United States of America. He doesn't even know how many states are here. No wonder he won. We forgot there were 7 extra states, plus Hawaii and Alaska. Holy jeez, what a blithering idiot. I tell you, if he doesn't have a teleprompter and somebody pushing the button telling him what to say, he doesn't know jack doodly squat. Anyways, that said, let's get down to this feel-good story. Get through with the jokers here. In April of 2013, hang on, I got to send this thing out while I'm doing this. I forgot to do that. There we go. Vietnam War-era veteran keeps a solemn vow to his lost brother in arms. This is a story that came out of Journal Sentinel, April 30th, 2013. Why, it was just last month, 2 months ago. When the rocket arced up from the Vietnamese jungle and hit the U.S. helicopter, Merlin Ray Allen took the brunt of the blast. He was killed, but in the process saved his best friend and fellow Marine, Jeff Sabacool. Sabacool suffered severe burns and broken bones in the inferno that engulfed the helicopter, melting weapons and killing most on board. The remains of Allen, a 20-year-old Bayfield, Wisconsin man. Ho! Where is that? If you're over on the TV side, take a look at the map that I got up there, so you know where Bayfield is. Way up there in the upper tip of Wisconsin. The remains of Allen, a 20-year-old Bayfield man, were not recovered, but Sabacool vowed one day he would bring his buddy home. This is 46 years ago. Last year, a joint U.S.-Vietnamese recovery team excavating the helicopter crash site, team members found the remains that in February were positively identified as Allen's. Now, Sabacool gets a chance to do right by his friends who will forever be 20 years old. It's been my dream for 46 years, and now it's coming true. Now I get to go and bring him home. That's part of a Marine's soul, said Sabacool, 65 now. Allen will be buried in June on York Island in the Apostle Islands. And I have that right there. There you go. If you look on the map on there, York Island is directly out just north of the farthest tip of the mainland of Wisconsin. Next to his parents' graves and a marker his family installed in his memory. Allen is the 10th Wisconsin MIA to be recovered and identified in Vietnam, and the first since 2007, according to Tom Mueller, an Oak Creek author who is writing a book about Wisconsin combat veterans with 2 chapters about 37 Wisconsinites missing in action at the end of the Vietnam War. a radio operator, Allen was part of an 8-man Marine reconnaissance team that carried Ace of Spades playing cards, which they had left behind in the jungle for their enemies to find. On the afternoon of June 30th, 1967, the team attempted to land. The pilot lifted up to get away from the gunfire. At the same time, a rocket blew a huge hole in the side of the helicopter, severing the fuel line and sprayed fuel that quickly ignited. Even though it was more than 4 decades ago, Sebekol vividly remembers the details that changed his life. "We were in the back of the helicopter," he said. "There was nowhere to go. We were engulfed." Sebekol said in a phone interview from his home in the Twin Cities. The inside of the chopper was like an 8-foot culvert with a pile of burning tires in it. Thick, black, oily smoke. You couldn't see, you couldn't breathe. With his clothes and backpack containing dozens of grenades on fire, Sebekol remembers seeing streaks of light through the fuselage from enemy bullet holes. As the pilot tried to clear the ridge, the helicopter hit trees, shearing off its rotors and plunging the aircraft to the ground. Sebekol was blown out of the gunner's open door, crashing through trees, suffering fractures to his arms, shoulder, knees, and skull. He had burns over 65% of his body. 4 men survived the crash. One of them died soon after from his burns in a military hospital in Japan, and another was killed in combat a few weeks later. Only Sebekol and one other survivor, who lives in Texas, came home from Vietnam. While the military told Allen's family he had died in a helicopter crash with no survivors, said Merlin Neff, who is 11 months older than the brother everyone called Merle. Then, 16 years later, Sebekol knocked on the Allen family door in Bayfield. He told them what happened, and he told them their son and brother was a hero, a great Marine and a best friend. Sebekol apparently and Allen had bonded as Midwesterners in a bunkmates in Vietnam. Allen arrived a few months before Sebekol and took him under his wing. They built a desk from ammunition crates between their bunks. The pair planned to become heavy equipment operators after their combat tours and return to Vietnam as civilians to make lots of money. We sat and talked all the time about the world, the girls and cars, and what we were going to do after Nam. We were just 2 young kids. The war hadn't hardened us. We joked and laughed and talked. As far as we were concerned, we spent the rest of our time best friends doing things together. While other members of his recon team were making Ace of Spades cards and asking the company clerk to make copies, Allen wrote to the Bicycle Playing Card Company, which sent him 52 decks of just Aces of Spades. He then passed them out to his fellow Marines. One of the 3 previous visits to the crash site by the U.S. Joint POW-MIA Accounting Command, investigators found one of those decks still wrapped in plastic. Sebekol carries one of those cards in his wallets. They also found Sebekol's rosary. Another recovery team visited the site in May and June 2012 and recovered more remains and evidence before suspending the excavation because of time constraints and bad weather, said Captain Jamie Dobson from the Joint POW-MIA Command based in Hawaii. Lab analysis and dental comparisons resulted in Allen's positive identification in February of this year when his 5 siblings were notified. The Joint POW-MIA Command organizes 90 to 100 missions. Hang on a minute here. I'm going to do this one there. I do that one right there. Where was I? 90 to 100 missions each year throughout the world to try to recover American service members listed as missing from World War II, the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and the Cold War. Each month, the unit averages 6 to 8 positive identifications through lab analysis. The number of missing and unaccounted U.S. military members in Vietnam now is more than 1,600, according to the National League of POW-MIA families. Many of those names ended up on POW-MIA bracelets, including Lance Corporal Merlin Rye Allen's. Sometime in the 80s, Paul Scott Klimek brought a bracelet with Allen's name at a swap meet at a Milwaukee arena, choosing it because the MIA was from Wisconsin. I wore it religiously for years and years and years. Over time, one thing leads to another, and you stop wearing things for no real good reason. But when Memorial Day and 4th of July come around, I always wore it. Who lives in Racine and still has Alan's bracelet. Remember that when those were going out, you could buy a MIA bracelet, try to help raise money so they could go recover the remains? Like many who wore POW MIA bracelets, Kimlick wondered what happened to Alan. When told Alan's remains recently had been identified and was soon returned to Wisconsin, Kimlick got emotional. I'm kind of tearing up. I've been very happy for his family. Everybody needs closure. And Kimlick, who is also considering Alan's funeral in Bayfield in late June. For Sebekal, Alan's homecoming is bittersweet. After a lengthy recovery from his wounds, Sebekal returned to Minnesota and married high school sweetheart. He drove to visit his fallen friend's family, but got to the end of their driveway 3 times before turning around, unable to face them. On the 4th journey, he got out of his car and walked up to the door and knocked. He became close friends with the family and now hunts and fishes with Alan's brothers. The Allen family showed Sebekal his buddy's trunk sent back from Vietnam after his death. Inside, Sebekal found his own family's Christmas pictures from 1966 that he took with him to war, as well as his address book that he hadn't seen since 1967. Their possessions, their lives were intertwined. Before Alan's mother died, she called Sebekal to her side and told him what a difference he had made in her life and her son's life. She asked him to visit the mothers of the other men killed in the helicopter that day and tell them what happened. Sebekal did, and now Sebekal will soon escort his friend home to rest in Wisconsin. He says, I, for some reason, was chosen to survive. Now I carry on their memory. That was in April. Just this past weekend, I am proud to say that he was laid to rest on York Island, which his family has, if you look at the map on the TV side, York Island is a small island just east of Sand Island and west of Raspberry Island. And if you go up on, take some of the cruises up in the Apostle Islands in northern Wisconsin, there's some cruise ships up there, and they'll float you. They actually go through all of these islands up there. And it's a very cool, it's maybe an afternoon trip or something like that. I just did it recently. I did not make it up to his funeral, but I have some friends that did. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to read this article real quick. And it really does just recap of what I just went through. Fast forward to February, Merle's story, and a team of discovering his remains. He thanked, Casey Allen said, he thanked all who had served and are serving in the American military, as do I. Fighting in Vietnam cost America 58,282 killed in action, 1,649 missing in action, he said, noting that Bayfield community sacrificed not only 20-year-old Merlin Ray Allen, but also 20-year-old Private First Class Dwayne Marshall Sawyer and 21-year-old Corporal James William Hessings. 30 years after Merlin Allen died, the family met Junior Guy and Jeff Skowal, 2 Marines who survived the crash, and 5 other members of his unit perished. Until then, the family had thought there were no survivors. Guy, speaking to the hushed audience, brought many to tears when he spoke about the suffering that he saw in Vietnam. U.S. Navy Chaplain Commander Kirk Morlodge also spoke at the service. The crowd was composed of friends and relatives, Bayfield and local area Bay community members who had served their nation in the military services. Former Marine Corporal Sergeant Leland Upshaw, who served in Vietnam in the same unit as Allen, came to the funeral from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am here to remember a brother comrade. It is very, very important to be at this service, said World War II veteran Leonard Zaleski of Hurley. See, this is going on in Ashland, way up in Bayfield, and there are people from all over the country who came to honor this. Members of the Patriot Guard Riders, a group of motorcycle enthusiasts who honor fallen U.S. service military people by attending their funerals, and representatives of many veteran groups were also there. At the end of the ceremony, trumpeters Charlie Burchell and Christine Humler played taps. Everyone there who had ever served in the U.S. military rose and stood at attention as the final full measure of respect was paid to their comrade in arms. During the recessional, bagpiper Steve Hand played Amazing Grace, a traditional hymn of comfort and solace. Following the service, military rites for Allen were held at Little Sand Bay. Burial took place on York Island, where he was laid to rest alongside his mother and father. Ceremonies brought final closure to the Allen family, who has waited for more than 40 years for the circle to be closed. Merle has never been forgotten, his sister Marilyn said. Merle will be forever young. Now, with that said, I only got a couple of minutes and I'm out of here. A friend of ours went and stood and was witness to this ceremony. From the helicopter, there was one flare left. As the story goes, the flares were set off where they crashed. The first one or two went into the trees. One was a dud, and they set one off, and apparently they were picked. The survivors were picked up. So there was one flare left, and Cervical had the flare from those decades ago. And at the service, he set the flare off, and for approximately an hour after he set the flare off, there was a rainbow around the sun. And I guess all I can say is, thank God somebody's home and at rest. Been a long time. God bless. And we will see you tomorrow on the Just Jim Show from the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegone.
Getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, oh glory. A symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect. Because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States. Individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic. A state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all. For all. Which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a defender. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to sacrifice everything, his fortune, his sacred honor, even his life, for liberty and something called inalienable rights that he cannot see but knows he cannot live without. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to ride a horse through sleepy towns in the dark of night, sounding the alarm, entreating neighbors to take up arms against an overwhelming force of wicked tyranny. So God made a patriot. God said, I need someone who, even after crushing defeats, rises up and stands tall. Someone who hears the clarion call that these are the times that try men's souls and does not shrink from the trial. Someone who will cross a frozen river in the dead of winter, when all logic and reason says turn back, abandon hope. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who knows of the rise and fall of great nations, who knows of human nature and the corrupting influence of power and the fragility of liberty. I need this man, along with his like-minded brethren, to write an enduring constitution. So God made a patriot. God said, I need a person, one person, who's willing to do whatever it takes, even write a book to confront injustice and spark a movement that would tear apart a people so that chains will rightfully be shattered and a blessed union eventually emerge. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who, with the love of family and for the love of country, will cross a vast ocean and storm a heavily fortified beach, and, if he survives, charge through 200 yards of bullets and blood across that merciless beach, and, if he survives, scale the towering cliffs, and, if he survives, begin the long march to free a continent, and, if he survives, return home and, with the same resolute determination, rebuild a nation, and someday be called the greatest generation. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will, without thought of self, invest in schools and scouts and church and community, so that the proposition that all men are created equal remains a beacon to enlighten the world, and that such a beacon shall not perish from the earth. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will have the courage to not give up her seat on a bus and thus force a nation to confront its deepest divisions and heal the wounds and pursue the dream that inspires all hearts. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone strong enough to stand against any enemy, foreign or domestic, that would try to steal the freedom so dearly defended, the rights so righteously upheld, yet gentle enough to help a small child carry a star-spangled flag in a hometown parade. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who will speak the truth to his own leaders, that in order to preserve our great nation, we will not sacrifice the well-being of future generations for the sake of our own. Someone who will tirelessly toil day upon night, no matter the setback, no thought of surrender. Someone who will prayerfully rise every morning to climb the wall as a defender, duly endowed with the honored gift of generations before, while offering a solemn promise to generations ahead. A defender who will ensure that the way of truth and the torch of liberty remain forever lit in this shining city on a hill. So God made a patriot.